Imagine you're sitting at a family gathering and someone asks the question everyone eventually asks. So, when are you buying a house? You already know the script. Rent is throwing money away. Buying a home is adulthood. Buying a home is wealth. If you're still renting at 30, something must be wrong with you. That belief is so deeply ingrained that people panic buy homes they can barely afford, stretch their debt-to-income ratios to the limit, and convince themselves they've made a smart financial decision simply because they signed a deed. But for millions of people today, that script is outdated. The market has changed, the math has changed, and blind faith in homeownership is quietly trapping people in illiquidity and stress. Here's the uncomfortable truth. For many people, their house is not an asset. It's a leveraged consumption purchase pretending to be an investment. I spend a lot of time running the numbers the real estate industry hopes you don't, and today we're going to break down rent versus buy using math instead of emotion. Quick pause. If you care about making financial decisions based on numbers instead of social pressure, hit subscribe and like this video. It helps the channel and tells YouTube this content is for people who think. Alright, back to the math. To understand why buying isn't always better, we need to redefine what throwing money away actually means. When you rent, you pay for housing services. That money is gone. Everyone agrees on that. But when you buy, you're told your monthly payment is building equity. That's misleading, especially in the early years. A large portion of owning a home is also unrecoverable, money that never comes back, money that builds zero equity. First, mortgage interest. On a standard 30-year mortgage in the early years, 70 to 80% of your payment goes to interest. If your payment is $3,000 a month, maybe $400 reduces your balance. The rest goes to the bank. You're not paying yourself, you're renting money. Second, property taxes. This is permanent rent paid to the government. In many areas, it rivals actual rent. Third, maintenance. The rule of thumb is 1 to 2% of the home's value per year. Roofs, water heaters, plumbing, pest control. Not upgrades, just maintenance to stay functional. Fourth, insurance. And fifth, transaction costs. Buying and selling a home can cost up to 10% of the property's value. Add all of this together: interest, taxes, maintenance, insurance, fees, and the unrecoverable cost of owning is often similar to or higher than rent. You didn't eliminate a landlord, you just replaced them with the bank, the government, and Home Depot. This decision usually comes down to one number: the price-to-rent ratio. You calculate it by dividing the home price by annual rent. A $500,000 home renting for $2,000 a month is $24,000 a year. $500,000 divided by $24,000 is approximately 21. Historically, below 15, buying often makes sense. Above 20, renting often wins. In many major cities today, ratios are 25 to 30 or higher. When the ratio is that high, the math strongly favors renting. But the biggest trap is the down payment. On a $500,000 home, a 20% down payment is $100,000. That money is now locked. It produces no cash flow and no flexibility. If that $100,000 were invested at a historical 10% return, it would roughly double every 7 years. By buying, you're betting one local housing market will outperform diversified global markets, a bet that historically loses. Economist Robert Shiller showed that real home prices barely beat inflation over long periods. Most housing gains are leverage and luck. Renting and investing the difference preserves liquidity, diversification, and expected return. There's also something spreadsheets ignore: mobility. A renter can move in 30 days. A homeowner pays 6% in fees and hopes the market cooperates. Buying doesn't guarantee stability. Often it creates anxiety. I'm not anti-homeownership. Buying can make sense if you're staying 10+ years, value customization over liquidity, and the price-to-rent ratio supports it. But don't buy because culture tells you to. Run the numbers. If the math says rent, rent and invest the difference.